So we'll call the meeting to order, and number 2, read and approve the notice and posting for the April 5th, 2024 public safety meeting. Was it properly posted? All right, thank you. Moving on to item 3, read and approve the agenda for April 5th, 2024 public safety meeting. And we have a 20-point agenda. Looking for a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you, Richard, and Carrie second that. Thank you very much. All in favor, please say so. Say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Move forward. All right. Read and approve the minutes of the March 1st, 2024 public safety meeting. Looking for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Richard. And
Second.
Carrie seconds that. All right, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, excellent. Moving forward, item number 5, Driftless Music Gardens upcoming events and updates. Sheriff, I think that's yours. Oh, they're going to be here? Okay, we can move on.
Their stuff looks great.
Yeah, what I was looking at. So if they're planning to be here, I'm just going to hold that and we'll come back to that. I think that's to them. Item number 6 then. Coroner updates.
Coroner, yes. In our office calls in March. The ages of the decedents range from 46 to 94. 6 of the deaths were heart related, 4 were cancer deaths. 1 was lung related, 1 was kidney related, and 1 was attributed to dementia. There were no autopsies in March. We currently have 1 case pending for final autopsy. The medical examiner states the report is complete, so we're just waiting on a final copy. 11 of the 13 deaths in March were cremations. Pager service continues to be spotty. They have 1 deputy coroner who receives no pager service where she lives, and 2 others, including myself, where the page may or may not come through. He's still hopeful that the county will switch to a phone notification, which would provide consistent service for everyone in the office. We continue to look for 1 to 2 more people to join the office. If you know anyone who might be interested, be sure to pass down his contact information. Regards, Jim.
Is there a reason that phone system hasn't been implemented?
Guessing it's just not been asked. So now that it's been asked.
Yeah. Between I am.
just want to go to I am responding.
Oh,
There's a cost associated with that. And so that's part of it, is that they don't have money to go. And I think that's what he's speaking of, is that it would be on the cell phone.
Okay.
Like, I am responding is what I think he means. But you may want to approach him about just doing a phone call. They
Yeah.
can give you who's on call. You know,
yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess it'd be interesting to research what the costs for the I am responding are. I mean, that is
It's
you guys know what
for
it is.
it's a couple $100 probably.
right. And can that be built in with the sheriff's department's part of it?
Possibly, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that.
It's a separate agency, because we like to take them out to like the fire department, but it's separate.
But it is a
But
long.
the new one that you guys just implemented,
Yeah,
maybe it will be taken down to that.
yeah.
So if you would look into that, that would be.
Do you create a CAD for coroner calls?
Well, we do for deaths, so we would just attach them to it. And
But
in theory,
they're not paged for that.
Yeah.
They're paged for,
but in theory, if we then assign them to that death investigation CAD,
but what about
It
when
should
it still calls and says, have a coroner call me off?
Yeah, I see what she's saying.
good point.
That's what I'm saying, then you're gonna have to pay CAD for each one of those.
Yeah,
Is that an issue? I guess if you guys would look into that and come up with an idea,
yeah.
I think the resources are there. I mean, it makes a whole lot more sense, I think, to do that than
Yeah.
suffer with what we got working. So, will you follow up on that? Thank you very much. All right, anything else on the coroner updates? All right. We're gonna move on. We're gonna bounce back then to the Driftless Music Gardens upcoming events and show. I'm guessing that's why you're here as guests tonight. So thank you for coming and getting this documentation together. So please tell us what's going on.
Yeah, my name is Curry Lochner and Scott Lochner. We host Driftless Music Gardens just north of Slack. north of Yuba, about 2.5 miles. And we do have our capacity under 2,000. So we are just simply coming to you in a transparency state of wondering if there's any questions from last year's events and anything that we can keep in mind moving forward for this upcoming season that we have. We do have 3 events this year, one in June, July, and in August. And last year we felt that we had come to a new learning level of our capacity of comfort was 1,500 sellable tickets. And with our staff and children that are all on board, we are able to still maintain keeping under the 2,000 attendees per day. And so this year we are hoping to keep on
Get to that point, but not go over 2,000. We
Yeah.
don't want to go over 2,000.
We want to make sure that all the bugs are worked out and everything is still controllable in a very healthy setting. So we're hoping to still obtain that, and this year's numbers, we're hoping to get to 2, if not 3 additional sellouts, again, where we're stating that sellable tickets.
Do you have tickets?
Yes,
That
we
are
do
bought
have
ahead?
them available right now on our website.
So are tickets then sold at the gate per se also, or do you know what your numbers are going to be just on the front end ticket sales?
On the front end, we'll know what our tickets are up until the event, and then we'll know how many we have left to sell per day at the
Okay.
event.
So I'm guessing you have a buffer because if you sell the 1,500 online, people are going to come.
Done.
Right, but people come to the gate with 3 extra people.
We would turn them over.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
explain what your group is.
So this is our 9th year of providing outdoor music, live music events. So we bring acts from all across the nation. Last year's our big acts were Michael Franti. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's a very worldly artist. And then we also brought in bluegrass artists such as Railroad Crew, Yonder Mountain String Band, Leftover Salmon, and they ended up closing out our season last year for that, headlining for that festival. But we do have 3 days of music and camping. Basically, people come for 3 days of music. They don't really have to leave. They're able to camp on site with their RVs or their vehicles, their tents. And we have food vendors and soft good vendors that people are walk around through with their.
So it's the music. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
It's a pop-up music venue. We have a special campground. So we're not a full-time in operation. We do have special campground permits that we submit for each event.
okay.
Same with our alcohol license. We have a Class B temporary license that we obtained through the Township of Blooming.
Okay.
does the property fall entirely in Richland County? I didn't know where about.
We're right at the edge.
Right, so I was wondering what that was. Sometimes
Yeah, if you guys have never been out, it's definitely a great year to come out. And check it out. But is there any feedback from prior years of any situations that we may be aware of or take into consideration to be more thoughtful of?
Sheriff, you have.
From our standpoint, we haven't had really any issues up there, so I mean, it seems like documentation wise, and it seems like you're running a pretty good program up there, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Would you like to go over 2,000 people?
Not at this point, because we want to make sure that.
Someday,
we
maybe. I
can
don't
grow. At this point, we want to make sure that we provide an impeccable service and experience to people that. And if we grow too fast, I don't know if we can safely provide that same experience. So at this moment, we're baby steps. As you can see, we're 9 years deep into finally getting to
One pass.
that we're hoping to replicate again this year.
Emergency management, John, have you been involved with working with any of the
I have,
plans?
yes. Mostly in the meteorology side of it. So there's been storms that have occurred there a couple of times.
Yep.
Some surprise cells that would spin up over the hills.
We had a good one last.
Yeah.
Really
It's pretty intense.
brought everything to a halt for about hours, like.
Yeah.
Sent that road back hours.
Okay, so was there any hail involved in that?
No.
In that?
No,
Just heavy winds this time.
That winds,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so as long as you've got a way to shelter people and you've got enough advance warning, that's gonna be the big part of it. What I think I might be able to do this year for you is work with lacrosse and get a decision support set up for that event specifically. And lacrosse can bring it all the way down to, I think, the nearest quarter of a mile on their forecast. So if I can get your coordinates exactly where you're gonna be, then I'll give that to Todd Shea and then he can develop a DSS for me and then I'll share that with you.
Appreciate
And then we can be with you and me and you. And if something occurs, we need some kind of a communication network. Or if I see something, I can alert either of you. Say, this is the situation, here's how much time you have. And here's how fast it's gonna come in. So yeah, that I think we can do.
Okay, so you'll follow up on that communication piece with them, okay, very good. So do you have any questions or challenges that you've come into that you should be looking at or monitoring and checking?
Not at this time. Okay, I think things are, anytime that we've had to have response up there, it's been relatively quick. And, I know we've had a first responder, situation that had come and people provided their relief extremely quick as soon as the 911 call was made. So I would say everything's going the way it should be.
All right, well, this is good to hear. I just want to make sure we're getting all the discussion pieces out. So, all right, so there's really no action we need to take on this. It meets all the criteria of the ordinance. Is that correct? Sheriff, you know? Okay, and so this is information. I thank you for that. Unless anybody else in the committee has questions?
Anything that we're doing in the ordinance that would hinder you? Operation?
Has there been any changes to the ordinance? Then no.
Sometimes we have stuff that's restricted, that we don't know that we are, we look at it and change things, so.
Yeah.
That's in our purview, don't.
You know, I feel that's given us great guidelines to provide a safe environment. And I know it's not necessary for us to come to do these annual meetings that we've been doing for the nine years of business that we've been doing. But really appreciate coming in and letting you know what we're up to, because more people that know that we exist, I think it helps with everybody.
Well, I think there's resources that hopefully we can work and support that maybe you have or haven't thought of, or we haven't thought of some of the scenarios. I think it's really good. So thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Anything else from the committee? All right, thank you for your time. We appreciate you coming.
By the way, is your contact information website?
Yeah. It's the second page.
Okay,
That was on the, I believe the digital copy was sent to you.
Yes.
Yep.
somewhere. I'll see
Pine
if I
River
can-
Road, Hillsborough, information, yep.
It's a memo I don't normally
Oh,
get,
it does,
but
yeah.
I'll get to it and I'll make sure I can
Sounds
get
good.
in touch with you and I'll let you know how to involve this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that completes item number 5. We've already discussed item number 6, coroner updates. Number 7, circuit court judge updates and comments.
So Judge McDougall is in Iowa County this morning. She's actually hearing a sentencing hearing at a high-profile Iowa County case. So she's going to be there all day long. You may see her in the media, just as a little heads up. Hopefully her day goes well. She has been working very hard. She's caught up on a lot of the Iowa County cases that came our way, completing them. Still working on the Vernon County cases that had come at when Judge Gaskell became the judge and he was previously the DA. So still working on a lot of out-of-county cases, but we're kind of switching now from Iowa County to more Vernon County. And then the only other thing from the judge is that we did have Tammy Johnson come and did a tour of the courthouse area. Sure. And give any additional input. We're still waiting for her report.
Who's Tammy Johnson?
So she is from the Wisconsin Supreme, previously Wisconsin Supreme Court Marshal. Thank you. And is now with Capital Security and is just very knowledgeable on, she's done a lot of assessments for courthouse security and security in general. And so she came and did a tour and is going to be submitting a report to us on her recommendations.
Okay. Do we know about rough timeline on when that report has come? Did you give us some
I would
timeline?
say, I'm thinking they'll probably have it maybe in the next month or so.
Possibly by the next meeting?
Possibly.
Okay.
Before the next security meeting.
Yeah, it's
Well,
good.
for our
For our-
Public, see,
Yeah, possibly.
yeah, so just out of curiosity, is this associated with the US Marshal that came in last time?
So
Is that
this
2
is-
months ago?
No, so I've reached out to our US Marshal, and he's happy to come or provide somebody to come and do an assessment, but, this will probably be a little bit more condensed document than the US Marshal's office. They're usually very broad and so this is gonna be a big document, but not quite to the level of detail that the US Marshal's office will go into. So,
We had a marshal come in about a month ago and do a survey.
That was her. Yeah,
That was just that same one.
Yeah, she was actually Wisconsin
state capital. Police.
state capital, but not a US Marshal.
Oh, I misunderstood. Okay.
Anything else from Circuit Court Judge?
Not from the judge.
So I guess at that point, the follow-up on this one then is that report is available. We have to have it come back here so you can see. All right. I mean, I'm not sure who's going to get the report, so I'm not,
I think the judge will probably get the report
okay.
and then we'll probably disperse it to
Okay.
several people.
See, yeah, carefully get out some of those concerns. Some of the concerns for safety, I think have to be very careful how that's.
Yeah, so on that, I guess, since we have just a minute, do you want to, so normally, we would give that to the courthouse security committee and probably this committee. So are you fine with that report going to the courthouse security?
Yes, I would definitely say so. I think for the purpose of building budgets and planning, we need to start seeing some of those things so we know where to go down the road with the recommendations.
And probably maybe the whole county board?
I think I would wait on that until we get through the committees, look at it and make some decisions as to where that goes. We start with those two.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else in circuit court or the judge? Okay.
Yep.
All right, then we will move on to item number 7, clerk of court updates, monthly updates and reports. I see Stacy did send a document. It's not here today, I'm not sure.
Did mention in the report about this being a judiciary committee, and feels that wasn't listed as such.
Oh, I guess I didn't scan her email that gets reports, so the number is more than that, okay. Well, I guess we have nothing on that then to work with. at this point.
So, and Stacey, she, as was just mentioned, she did state having judiciary. So on the agenda, we have Richland County Public Safety and Judiciary Standing Committee. But I think some places, maybe it's not, maybe on the website, it's not.
No.
Make those changes yesterday.
You did, okay,
Oh,
perfect.
yesterday, okay.
So, okay,
There are some places like the folder names that we can't.
sure.
Because too many characters, like literally Microsoft has a limit on it. You can put as many as you want, but when you go to transfer to the new server, it won't transfer because the folder names are too long.
Okay,
So in the sense of the data preservation, we would want to do it there, but that's a bold opinion, nobody really sees.
Okay,
But as far as I'm aware, the guys were told to make it yesterday and really, in fact, no, they did because,
so it's
uh,
okay, great. That was quick.
I guess going through that, I did have just one question. To get an answer for the psychological evaluations. So that number's pretty high. Didn't know how many of those get involved, but that's on the budget thing. I guess that's something for her to discuss next time.
Yeah, I'll let her each, because she would have that, probably my guess would be that's on some criminal cases,
Right.
that's psychological evaluation, and they're testing for competency on whether, where they're at.
And
And
it's
then-
April, and that one's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
All right, well, nothing else then, and nobody online for the court updates. And with the monthly updates report, so we are now then gonna move on to item number 9, the probate.
And I don't have a lot new, we just have been working along, with the kind of the day-to-day cases and just, really trying to get through cases, old cases caught up, and I feel like we're really making progress in that area across the board, from every case type. So I just have to say Judge McDougall's been really pushing cases along and pushing attorneys to get things in, and so I feel like she's, just been doing a good job and working hard on that, and that includes probate, and helping me with some of the older probate cases as well. So I really don't have anything new. My budget looks good right now, but it's early.
Well, and I do want to say that I stopped into the office a few months ago and had no idea the history documentation that you have and you keep there on probate stuff. I was absolutely amazed. So, in my eyes, so thank you for showing me that stuff. Anything else on the probate department?
I was told yesterday I should go on the morning show and do a little lesson on probate, because a lot of people, it's like building a house. You do it once in your life and you don't encounter some of that stuff until you're hit with it. And so there is a lot of things that people don't realize you have to do until, a family member dies, and then you have to go through it yourself. And so anyway, I think there could be, if we get caught up into the point there, that would be a possibility, is look at education opportunities for the public. That could.
I think that would be great. I think people hear the word and are scared, and I don't think that it's a scary thing, but it's a process that has to go through. So, yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. Wonderful. All right. Anything else then? All right, very good. Moving on, item number 10, district attorney update. I did talk to the DA prior to the meeting. She is in a jury trial. She said she would not be able to make it to the meeting. Do you have any other information from the DA? Okay, hearing none, I guess we're moving on to emergency management, item number 11.
Okay, in order to get this process moving forward, I need to work with somebody in the courthouse.
What process?
To create the process. I think you want additional security for the courthouse.
Okay, that's
Right, so I think the goal is to make people feel safer throughout the building. So we started that, I think, about 2-3 months ago already. And I was gonna work with the standing safety committee. And I believe there was gonna be a survey, which I think is what this Marshall thing was about, to get a handle on where the insecurities are at, where people feel like the vulnerabilities are at. So in order to do exercising and training on that, we need to actually have a courthouse active threat plan pulled into existence, unless there already is one. There is. So what we need to do then is survey the active threat plan and see if everybody in the building is familiar with it. And if they're not, then that's where the training part comes in. We need to train everybody in the courthouse according to that plan, so everyone is aware of it and knows what to do. And then, once we feel that everyone in the courthouse is completely familiar with and proficient in responding to an active threat, then we can do the exercise. So A, B, and C here in sequence are that process.
Okay.
So if it's been developed and it's been implemented, then we've already achieved A.
So has that been
It's
done?
been developed. I think some people have, but not all. So that
So after the and, we got.
and honestly, it has mostly to do with my response to it, but it is meant for staff in the building. Know what to expect, to know what to do, but it's largely based on what my staff do. So, but yeah, there is a courthouse emergency response plan. It's been in existence for a long time, but we did probably a couple of years. It just never got pushed out fully to the staff. So,
So just a quick comment on that. The one thing when Tammy Johnson came around, some of this you kind of knew, but it just brings it more front of mind. So the two people that are often targeted are the judge and probably the DA. And so as a clerk, the one thing that Tammy kind of helped me with is that if someone would attack someone while you're in the courtroom, an individual in particular, to have a plan and where to go. If someone's at the table or on the bench or at the clerk's office, what your response is. And the more we think through what our plan is, and one of the simple things that I'm going to personally start implementing is carrying my keys with me. Because so many, many times I go up to court and I don't carry my keys. And so I can't unlock the jury room or whatever and get into a door to get out of harm's way or to get the judge out of harm's way or whoever. And so one of her quotes is that when you're in an active threat, a lot of times every 15 seconds makes a difference. And so if you can get some people, whoever that is, out of the way and in where they can't get to them any longer, it could be life-saving. And so just little things like that would help staff kind of think through a plan would be helpful for me. And just also, talking and unlocking things and being aware of people. But I do feel like that's important. First, of course, your response is important, but I think that there's other things that we can do too.
so, and that's included in the plan as well. It kind of makes it clear what we're going to do, but it also gives suggestions for like the run, hide, fight, what you do for yourself.
Right.
So,
Have you seen the plan?
So the plan was implemented long ago before I was here. And so I reviewed the older plan a little bit. I think that was done, I'm going to venture to say over 10 years ago.
so I redid it once, right around the time we did the last active shooter training for our staff, which probably would have been for the 22, 21 or 22. So I had done an update on it then, but I don't think the update ever got fully pushed up to staff. So,
And I think a lot of that was focused on you, but not so much, I'm not sure how much staff was included in. Like you guys went through a lot of training.
we did a staff training.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how, I can't remember how many attendants it was and everything. We did a staff training, we did it in the large court.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Was that what stopped the bleed? Was that kind of
I
thing?
believe we did do stop and bleed with it, yeah.
Okay, so it was like silent that,
Yep,
okay,
so.
yes, I did attend that one, now that you say that. I just kind of had to.
We're due for another.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so I guess my question is, it sounds like we have a plan. It sounds like the staff has some ideas to implement in that plan, but we're also waiting for the review from the courts security, the Capitol Police security for that information. Is this, I don't want to push this down the road, but I also want to know we have a plan that we're going to be, does it happen? So is our next step waiting for that to come in, and at the next meeting we can look at updating and cleaning that up?
Next, we just had one, because I missed it.
Yes. And so that was, I believe, in February. I think we'll have one in May. Was that, you were going in February?
March,
It was my first part of March,
yeah, yeah,
so it might be June then,
okay.
because we have them quarterly.
And not trying to, I mean, Candace, obviously as the administrator, having that piece for the entire organization is critical. So I'm not trying to speak, as Candace is on, I'm not trying to speak for the administrator, but I'm also trying to make sure we have a direction. I don't hear it chiming in, that's why I'm not in too much trouble. Okay, all right. I'll take care of that later. All right, so
So essentially, do action for A. And for B, it's implicitly sounds like approval is already given for training, presumably. So we just have to, or I would have to know when that is so I can document it. So the training piece that should be involved with one way or the other. And then once we know everyone's familiar with the plan, they've been trained, then we need to do the tabletop exercise. We like to try to do that if possible.
can you,
And I need approval or implicit approval for that process.
Is there anything in this process, is there anything that you need approval for to get this going? These, to me, these sound like emergency management and court security issues that can be handled right now. Is there anything that we are lacking?
I think so. I don't know for sure.
Thoughts that we're lacking, anything that you guys can't start moving ahead on this?
I mean, the must, training's been approved
Right.
before to be, all that we need, enroll and training.
Yeah, just be out, committed hours and so forth.
I will talk to the administrator about that, I'm sure we're not missing anything.
Yeah,
I'll send you the plans. Get it.
okay.
We can figure out a way to get it final to the rest of the staff prior to.
Right. Yep, that would be more.
John, if the target to complete this is December, can you build us a back timeline? So we can start a timeline that we can start getting out so people can see it, instead of guessing each month what we're doing? Rough timeline,
I think I could do that.
could you please? I think that would be helpful, because then we can get down and everybody can kind of see where we're going with this.
Because then that will give me C, which I'm also.
Yes.
So it sounds like the training has partially already happened. And refresher training would then be on the table for the upcoming months. That taken into account, Lee and I can work together to get tabletop exercise developed, designed, and ready to be rolled out. And it's just a matter of setting the when and the where for the tabletop. And I write the after action. So it sounds like I can work with the security committee a little bit on their input, and then Clay and I can do the act developments for B and C.
Okay, so you get that timeline backed up,
Yeah.
rough, and I'm not looking at exact dates, but I think everybody should have kind of a view of where we're going. I think that would help.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's the whole point of this. I want to make sure everyone is kind of, know about, if somebody walks in here with an AR-15, what do you do?
Right.
That's where we want to get this. Whether it's a judge or anyone else in the building. If somebody shows up, now what do I do? So if the training is good, then the exercise should show us where any weaknesses may be in that response. And then for 2025, we can address that as the next evolution of the IPP for successive years.
And I would encourage the threat, not always just a weapon, sometimes it's just domestic
That could be
anger and frustration,
right.
that gets out of hand. So it's not always
Yeah, it could be
anything.
just
That's
any kind of
anything you plan
disturbance
for,
at
the
all.
whole picture can be.
Just a threatening disturbance.
Threatening disturbance could be any kind, so chairs are dangerous.
Yeah. So that's, That's A and B. Setting dates, I guess, Clay, you and I could probably do that part. Like June, July, going into August for training and then tabletop exercise design, and then we might be able to roll it out in September, October, but that's the timeline you're gonna.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for. That's exact dates.
So-
It was aligned so we can know what everybody needs to be targeting, getting their
Right,
requirements.
right. That's,
Reasonable?
yeah, that sounds good. So is the committee good with the logic of that? See where we're going with this?
Discussion committee, any other thoughts on that? I don't think there's a decision-making point here. I think you have all the pieces you need.
I think so.
And so we'll look forward to next month having that rough structure.
With Jen and Clay.
Okay.
Make sure that everything lines up. So I'll have my dates, and then I can publish that back to the committee next
Right.
month.
I'll bring this up again. Have a picture story.
So there it is.
All right, any other discussions on this? Anything else with emergency management?
Nothing that I'm aware of right at the moment.
They postponed hiring process.
Okay, that's right.
I
Because,
don't know, maybe postponed. I think there was qualified candidates. See, they can.
That's from what I know, the qualifications were lacking on the combined part of this job description, which quite frankly, I don't think you're gonna find another Darren, Lori, or Warren. It's very unlikely that you're gonna have that skill set put into one person who's willing to take on that much responsibility and that much work for south of 70,000 a year. I think you're gonna have a really difficult time with that. So, yeah, you're right. I think it's been postponed for this. But I think it was attempted. I believe you screened some applicants.
I think 3 applied, but I don't think they met the qualifications that we were looking for. So they just want to have another meeting now to sit down, regroup.
thank you.
How long that's gonna take, I don't know.
How long is it going to take to find someone to meet them?
Well, I know Melissa mentioned before about splitting out the duties separate, so.
That's also a budget topic. We're going to have to challenge this, split down the duties to be multiple people. So, okay. All right, anything else for emergency management?
I don't believe so.
All right, moving on then to item number 12, PSAP GIS grant monthly.
So we are starting on Monday, we'll be back to install the rest of the piece of equipment.
That big, huh?
Yeah, for the next 2 weeks, they'll be here and then that should be finished. As you know, will be switched over 29th of this month. So that will be completed and will meet the grant requirements for that piece. For the G911 grant, we've been getting in lots of bills from the 2 vendors from Crossroads and from MSA for 911 updates. And Matthew has been absolutely amazing to work with. We've been doing meetings twice a week and getting things back up and running to
Who's Matthew?
our terms on.
Thank you.
We do have a new zoning administrator, but she's still in school, no graduate for me. But we're definitely moving ahead. Huh?
The college graduate?
Yeah. So she's not quite but we've been making excellent progress. We've got all the licensing done with the Esri. I mean, it's just amazing in the last month, all those grants finally come together,
Excellent.
finally.
The fiber, has that been resolved?
yes and no. We're still waiting on not Jen, Frontier, but they have definitely touched on from the grant side. We'll just give them all credit where credit is due.
And good, I did receive recently from CISA, the federal CISA, and they put out the new Frontier contact information. And very public. So I know they've been public.
And that was part of it. At our last meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, as they said that we are not the only county in this situation and that they would make, if needed, they would make it so
Make it work.
we wouldn't be outside of the grant.
Okay.
Because it's not really our fault. We're not getting this fiber installed. We can't do that. That's their vendor.
Okay. Questions or comments? JS grant project? I will again throw out, the new grant round is coming. There's training out there already for it. It is $18 million up from $6 million. You know, county's got the next training coming up here in the next 2 days. So I encourage going to that. It's a
I
big grant.
talked to them and they said that we could do it remote.
Yes, yeah, just making sure that that's where it's going to be held. Yeah,
Yep.
to make sure people are catching on that because it's, there's going to be a lot of additions to that. All right, anything else under number 12? Do or look at that. Committee, any questions? Hearing none, moving on to item 13, approve monthly invoices and other sheriff's department reports. Sheriff?
Any questions on the bills?
Committee, any questions?
See any major myself, but
Didn't see anything neat.
yeah, nothing unique that I thought needed further explanation. I will move on to the report then. So
Do that, come back to recruiter.
yep, $46,083.74 in vouchers for the month, 45 bookings. Average number or average population was 36.29. 393 monthly complaints, 46 traffic citations issued, 4 warnings, 23 process papers served, and 13 transports on the month. Average number on electronic monitoring was 7. Dispatch center received 678 calls for service, 79 calls for EMS, and 126 calls for the police department.
Total calls was 600, said?
Yep.
Break that down by day per hour.
Okay. Aaron put together a staffing memo for the committee as well on where we're at. So we're still down 1 full-time female jailer dispatcher. Well, technically 2, but one of them we have made an offer, we're waiting for her to graduate. So.
With that topic, what about the hiring process? We worked on that as a change to the ordinance.
Yes, and that hasn't, we haven't pushed that ordinance any further through yet, so we'll have to maybe bring that back at a future
Can we
meeting.
put that on the next agenda? And I'll get some discussion started with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ordinance. Oh, is that on?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
That was put on future agenda item last month. I put it on.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Next page, number 14.
Any questions on the staffing report?
It's nice.
Yeah, it's for you, Garrett. This is helpful to know that stuff.
It is,
They've
yeah.
been coming and going and like, we're in charge of more of the money, the salary, financial aspect of it. The people asking the public well, about this new person, that new person, you have no idea. And they question you, like, what do you know? Nothing, really?
So this is your request?
Well, I've asked for it. They used to do it across there, but now they took it away because whatever's going on.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure if we need it every month, but maybe like every other month, do it.
Something like that, yeah, like, nice to know that, like, hey, like, Shreve's gone and Alyssa's gone, I remember sitting in and hiring her, and then think that they're hired, and that they're here, and some they're not. That also tells us, well, why are people leaving turnover, maybe we need to do something else than hire.
It's good document. Very good.
And I guess I'll just give a quick update to, the loaner on contract so far this year. Everything's been tracking all of that. We've been meeting our hours, the last couple of months, actually exceeding a little bit with the loaner on contract. So I haven't had any negative feedback from the village on that. They're usually, pretty quick to communicate with me if they need something. So, I'll probably reach out to them with this next bill and just see if there's any questions or comments, but so far things seem to be going well with that as well.
Project. Very good. All right, other questions from the committee on approval of the monthly invoices for the sheriff's department? If not, I'll be looking for a motion to approve those invoices and the sheriff's reports.
I'll make the motion.
Hyatt, here, and Dave, I think you're seconding.
Sure.
Oh, all right, thank you. All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Item number 14 then, item number 14, discussion, continue discussion and approve of ordinance 89-7. We just talked about that briefly. Anything further on that, or we will bring it up next month?
Well, I don't know if we got the latest document in the report, you guys. Apologies on that.
Can we get that emailed out before the next meeting?
Yep.
Were there changes or revisions from what we?
I don't think so. I think where we stopped on it was, the discussion on, admin staff's ability to return back to prior positions. I think everything was updated and then questioning that point. So that was the only thing I thought that was still up for discussion.
Okay.
So
See if we can finish that discussion. From the committee, anything on item 14?
You need ordinance to discuss that right now. I mean, I know everyone reviewed that document several times and like you talked about, it makes it difficult for us to go through the hiring process without that ordinance being completed, so.
Right, and I think that's got to go through the county board. But
Yeah, but I mean, I think we got maybe a vote on the agenda or on that ordinance first, don't we?
yes, to push it forward, correct. But we don't have the current document, and I don't think the discussion has been solved as to whether those positions could come back into the department or how that looks. I think that was the last email chain I was involved in. We haven't got anywhere from there.
Written in. I think as far as the ordinance is concerned, it's only written in there for the chief deputy that.
no, it's still lieutenants.
Lieutenant, now the question is jail administrator.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Right, that's what we have to look at.
So those are all wrote in there that way. They just
Not just the elementary.
no, the jail administrator is lieutenant and jail administrator both are wrote that way. Yeah.
But we had some questions from county administrator on that and how we have to flow through that. So I guess the next step is we can get that, just gonna have to go to the attorney or whoever to make sure we're not missing anything. So that's why I'd like to get that emailed out, so maybe by the next week, we can actually get that discussion done. I think we're this close. I really think we are.
I have it here now. I have it here. So
If you'd mail it out to all the committee members and
should I wait? Are we gonna be restructuring this month?
that's probably a good idea. We'll know that in a couple of weeks. won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Otherwise I can email it out right now.
I would like a copy of it right now.
The other thing is though, is like, this probably a new committee, so you're gonna have new people on there, and you might have to over everything.
We might have to, I guess, knowing that if I had a new copy, if I'm back on this committee, then I'll be ready. So. If I'm not, I will push it with the new committee. All right, anything else on item 14? Good discussion, and we will see what the new structure is. Anything else? Item number 15, discussion and possible approval regarding construction of an outdoor gun range on county property. This is a continuing discussion. US?
So I had a brief discussion with Candace yesterday about it, and I guess I'm just not quite sure how all that works. Because I completely understand the need for Josh to document his equipment time, his staff time, and all that into, a number, but we're taking from the general fund and giving to the general fund. So at the end of the day.
But tell us more about what's happening.
So this is kind of, I guess, a continuation. We discussed it, I don't know if it was last month. It was last month of building a range at the county gravel pit, which is attached to the quarry up on it. Okay. Josh doesn't need all the space that we have there. And so the thought was that clean up some of that area, level ground, and make it a strictly like a law enforcement training range. So we don't have to deal with all the issues that we deal with at the public one. And so, I mean, Josh is all on board with doing it. Part of the discussion was that it was opening it up to other county employees to have like a supervised, like a deer sight in, deer rifle sight in kind of thing. So we asked Josh to put together a quote. Obviously, we figured there would be a request for some tracking mechanism because we're using county resources to build it. We need to know what kind of expenses are going in. So that's the quote that's included in the packet that we received from Josh for his equipment and staff time to build the range.
Okay.
17,000.
So I did have a discussion, like I said, I had a discussion with Candace. We're not quite sure how all that works out. Obviously, I don't have in my budget and a spare $17,000 to build a range. So we're kind of working through that right now with Candace. So I don't know if she was planning on being here today, but I had that discussion with her yesterday.
Right?
I've been arguing this for years.
Yeah.
Years and years.
Yeah, I
We
get it.
own
Yeah, we've already paid for the
ours. Yet we're billing ourselves crazy amounts of money
Yeah.
for years.
Those cross many agencies.
It's actually cheaper to have a private contract to do the work than it is to have our own equipment and manpower to do it. Speaking from the park side of it,
Yeah.
like the bike trail.
Yeah.
All right, so is this a topic we need to get more information on and bring back?
The hope with Josh that we can get it, we see get put in front of his committee for approval to move forward, so we can discuss this with the, I'm not sure, both the finance personnel then, see if we- how that's gonna be, how that money can come out. But
So we're looking for approval to move this project forward.
Yeah.
We don't have the numbers to sort it out, but we want to move forward is what your ask is.
Yes. Yeah.
So, committee then from the sheriff, what we're looking is to ask, my understanding is to move this project forward and see how the money sorts out. Better way to put it.
So just a question, not as registered, but as a taxpayer right now. So wouldn't those funds just be the cost of materials? I mean, kind of like what you were saying, that, I mean, really it's designating time and equipment is not a chart. I mean, it does seem like you bring up a good point and.
I mean, when I look at it, I kind of look at it as like, in my mind, we're using fuel that Josh budgeted for.
Okay.
That doesn't already like, and then I guess I can't say what staff time.
some of the staff is paid out of federal dollars and state dollars, and we can't utilize that. to Build a county gun range, those staff would, we have to reimburse the federal, which is taking dollars.
Okay.
For the people that are on the state road, we do have county truck highways.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's gotta be a way to work through this. And I'm hopefully that's maybe what we'll figure out in finance or after we come out of public works. There's gotta be a way to figure this out.
But I don't think Josh's intention was to bill us something. I didn't like place. I think they
Josh
should have
wants
some
to do
numbers.
Right,
Like,
but numbers were asked,
numbers were asked.
right,
So,
So we needed something forward so people could see what,
right.
you know, what the cost would be.
yeah, never at any point did I think Josh wanted this. I very much got the feeling from Josh from the beginning, 'cause this is something we've been discussing for a while. It's something he just wants to do, but somebody wants a number attached to it, so, which I get.
And then there's still the question, once we get to that point of the policy of it, who uses it, who has access, how it's maintained, and all those questions. So those are still down the road. So at this point, it's approval to move the project forward. Those other pieces will come along.
Yeah.
So I guess from the committee, we are then looking for a motion to approve moving this project forward. Gary so moved.
I'll second that.
And Richard seconds. Any further discussion? Ask that question because we discussed it. All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Chair, if you have permission to move that forward, let us know how that sorts out, please. Item number 16, radio tower project updates, approval of electrical work in the courthouse related to the radio tower /911 project.
That is one. There was supposed to be a budget update that was for,
Yes.
and so Mike is on me, to give that budget up.
Mike?
He told me he was joining it. I got it.
Good morning.
There it is.
Hey, Mike.
Am I coming through?
Yep.
Oh, there, Mike.
There we go. Yeah, let me pull up the budget. Just a second, I'll grab that. No, you haven't shared that, Barb.
Oh, I can if you want me to. I've got one.
I can share it too.
Mike, Dave, you want to just
Okay, fine.
introduce yourself so people here know what's going on if they haven't been.
Okay. Mike Day with True North Consulting. So again, we are the county's technical consultant on this project, and so we represent your interest and have been supporting this project since the initial assessment. So let me get my technology. Let me first kind of give maybe the a project update or status update and kind of I don't know if we've got that sheet for you folks, but we're really coming to the end of our final the thing, and this is really gonna kind of give us a better view of what our budget is and how accurate we've been anticipating. We've got the request going out probably Monday morning, we hope. We're putting some final touches on some of the language, but yeah, Monday morning we hope to post our request for bid on the civil portion of the project. So that's building the towers, getting new shelters and generators at the sites, and so we hope to get that on the streets, and then we've got a due date of May, and I think which would then correspond to you folks seeing those results at your next meeting here. But and that's a big piece, and like I said, it gets us the final big piece of the budget, and we've still got some some things to work through, but that really tells us where we're at with the overall number. And so that goes out as far as the civil engineering work, and like I said, we've pretty much got all of our drawings completed. So the other piece, as far as the project update, site acquisition work, we really got our landowner contracts in some final drafts. We'll need to be sharing those, and we can probably use some of the time over the next 30 days here to share those with landowners and kind of get their approval of it. But that document is all but ready to go as well. We do have some challenges still getting some final answers from US Cellular, but again, we've tried to stress the importance of them, because we hope to have as we're ready, as these sites kind of get their final regulatory approval, because they're still in that process as well. But as we're ready, we hope to be able to sign any or act on any landowner permits probably as early as May 1st. But yeah, we certainly want to get those ready too when we do get a vendor. So, and then finally, I guess the other big piece of the project is our radio vendor, and they're really just continuing to receive equipment and get things ready. So that's kind of the project itself. I don't know if there's any questions there.
How many towers were we looking at in the end now?
We are still sitting on our 9-tower design, six of which are new towers for the county, and 3 of which are US Cellular lease tower spaces. And so we've been sitting on that design and still comfortable with everything there.
Good, thank you.
All right, let me see here. Sharing. And so if I share, you'll be able to see this? Okay. Window there. And Barb, I hope that doesn't lock up like it did the other day. So I don't know, is that coming through?
Yep, it is.
Okay.
Can you make it a little bigger though, Mike?
Let me.
It's the way we are full screen.
Oh, you are?
If look
Okay.
at the top, it shows. If not, that's fine, but I think we just want to focus on that.
Does that help like that?
No, it's fine. The pay to date column is what we need to focus on.
Okay.
Barb, out on my
Oh.
end, I'm still seeing what you're sharing.
Oh,
Still see that you're sharing?
well, we're not. I'm wondering if yours isn't updating.
I see what I see big on my screen is the agenda.
Okay, because what we're seeing is definitely not the agenda.
Okay.
If you look what I'm seeing on my end, because I'm on the meeting.
You already logged in?
No, and I can see it on my desktop. I can see
Always
that. So Dave, yours isn't
My name is
updated.
always.
For whatever
Do you want me
reason.
to just?
No, it's not yours, Mike, because I have it on 2 spots and show.
Okay, I changed to side by side view and now it refreshed.
Okay, great.
Okay, so hopefully you can see that. If not, I'll try and give a good verbal understanding of it, and certainly if if we need to share this with folks, that we can. But yeah, everything is so this first this first section, I guess, is your radio vendor totals, and we're still sitting at the original contract price with GenCom at 2.7, but basically 2.7 million. So that's in place, and again, we've gotten through kind of the DDR process, and so no changes to the contract there. Below that, we are holding the original $222,000 in funds as a budget number, not a hard number. So the contract with GenCom is a hard number, but the budget number for $222,000 was for radios for the sheriff's department, county-owned radios that might need to be replaced in order to get the operational on the new system. So that's a budget number. Rolling down to professional services categories. Again, 2 contracts there, True North's contract. Nothing's changed here. Nothing's changed on the other contract of professional services, which is civil engineering, Edge consulting. So we've got those locked in place. And again, we haven't seen any reason to make any adjustments. I wouldn't anticipate anything at this time. We do have some U.S. cellular fees on there as well that they sent us POs on, and so we've got those plugged in as well. And again, all these numbers here are contract numbers, so they're in black here. So rolling down again, and here's your big number, and here's the big known right here is the civil vendor totals. We have $3.1 million in there as a budgetary number, and I won't jump back and forth too much, but I will make a quick jump over to the civil costs, and this is kind of how we get those costs. That 3.1 million. It's based on whoops. Here we go slowly.
If you're
you
refreshing,
know,
yeah, we're only seeing the one screen, so if you're moving around, that's all we're seeing is your initial.
We're not, it's the same thing that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it did this on me the other day too. I apologize. I don't know why it doesn't refresh. Might be my internet. I'm sorry. But essentially within the document is a page or a tab that kind of lists the items out, and the key categories we use to try and identify the civil budget is obviously the big ticket items is towers, generators, shelters, and so we've got those in the document. There you go. And so again, that's using some of the formulas and stuff that we've used in the past and understanding what we've seen on other projects. We base that on some specific details of each of the sites. So again, we're not 100% sure. We know that's a big ticket item, but that's where we stand right there with that, and we hope to have that answer here at the end of at next month's meeting. So any questions up till now? So then going on down there, we've got a couple of items in the Richland County section. We try and track. We certainly anticipate paying the first year's leases for the towers out of this. We've got some initial electrical utility costs to get the electricity plowed in at some of the sites. The civil contractor takes it basically from the electric company's power transformer and then on to the actual shelter, but the county is going to handle all the electrical up front there. And we've got some pretty big ones there with a couple of the sites needing a quite a lengthy run. So we've got those. Now this that third item there, that's something new, and I don't know if that's been discussed or not. But
Agenda, or it's later on the agenda.
okay. So we've got, and again, all these, as you can see, they're in the tan color. They're just budgetary numbers, but they've come out of our overall project budget. Once they even become budgetary numbers, they're out of our bottom line there. So yeah, we've got the 2 roads that the county hopes to build on their own without support from the civil vendors. So for Viola and our Westport sites, so those are quite a big ticket item. But I think there's a good cost savings there for you overall. And a couple of items that actually some of those might even need to be turned into black items. I think you've already spent some of those things or maybe hope to approve them at this meeting too. So we try and track those too, because again, we believe they're coming out of the funds that you've designated for this project. So So then on down, we've kind of slowly adjusted contingency money as some of these budgetary items come in, but we still believe that even after that, we're holding about $450,000 in contingency money with the original project budget. And then below that is kind of the separate project of the jail security camera doors, and so that's updated, I think, since the previous version of this document, and we got a total of right under 400,000 on that. But as you see, when we get down to the bottom line there, we're still holding, from essentially this budget number was set by Clay, I think, before he left. So that's the number that Clinton, I'm sorry, that we've been tracking at 7.873. So again, as we try and go get these things turned from tan to black, we try and maintain that number and or draw out of the contingency funds. And then to the right of that column, you can see the red column with the red numbers. These are numbers that we're trying to track that have actually gone out of the county's funds. So we believe you've spent about 1.2 million supporting the different payment milestones and such on the contract. So, questions?
Questions from the committee? I would like to get a copy of this. It's really hard to see.
Yeah, I'll make sure that.
Thank you.
Can I just ask you a quick
As you
question?
can, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So Barb, does this include some of the cameras outside the courtroom?
Yep.
Okay.
That's all starting sergeants in the next 2 weeks, I think. As soon as we're done with dispatch, then sergeants will start. But I'm not having two vendors working in dispatch. It's not fair to our dispatchers. I won't do that to them.
Enough going.
Their staffing is different.
Okay, questions or comments? Anything else? Or Mike, Dave?
No, I was just going to say, if you do get a copy of the worksheet, you'll see essentially once I get, asked to maybe update this, or if I find reason to update it, I simply slide the columns to the left. So there's quite a few covered up columns. Gives you a little bit of a historical understanding of when things have happened throughout the project too. So.
All right. Overall, on this project compared to other projects you worked on, where are we in the process? How are we looking?
Well, we've certainly had some challenges along the way, and every project does, but we've certainly had our share of challenges. We definitely want to try and our goal is to meet the county's deadline at the end of the year here, and we know we've got some timeline challenges. We definitely need good weather and stuff for our contractor. But and there are some things that we want to try and press upon them. These sites essentially, once a tower gets in the air, once a shelter gets on the ground, we get that connectivity. Then we can have other tower crews, our radio vendors actually installing the antennas. So we can kind of get them installing antennas, even though the site's not fully done by the civil contractor. So we're going to have to use some of those techniques to try and make sure we gain as much support from good summer weather as we can. And if we can do that, I see no problem in meeting the deadline. Again, assuming big ticket items come in, and in the last few projects, a lot of the the concerns we used to have when things were heavily delayed around COVID, I think are gone. So getting items in, it seems to be a lot easier. And so we will be trying to push on it as much as we can, because I think we are in a tight timeline, but I think it's still doable.
All right, thank you. Other questions from the committee? Hearing none. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. And any other topics on this other than going to the electrical approval? All right. So item A then is approval of electrical work in the courthouse related to the radio tower / 911 project. Let's touch on that one.
Just a big.
So I think for this one, the invoice we have, the work is complete now.
Does it,
This is the only one, this is. We have the roads next, sorry, I was getting,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so the work is complete now. We have county board approval. There is a resolution approving payment of this, but you guys had not seen it. So, this is one I think we pushed through in kind of a hurry, because of the 911 project and things needed to be done in a certain time frame. So, but you hadn't seen it. So it's approved to be paid, but it hasn't been through this committee yet.
so how much of this is 911 related?
Almost all of it, because it's to do, getting the fiber for the radios from the basement up to the 3rd floor, so that we can get it up to the roof.
Has this been applied to the 911 grant that's out there now?
So because it was, contract was signed prior to the grant. And
This one was. This $10,000 one was?
yeah. Yes and no. I mean, it was part of the project was started prior to.
Right. This one, obviously, the date on it is after that, but it is yet part of the 911. I would encourage you to get a hold of the state on this project because looks like it's a infrastructure requirement and they will have been allowing that.
But we don't have.
I would encourage you to ask them about this, that this is a requirement. This is left, they have resources.
Okay.
It's worth the ask. Because it's required for 911, some funding that could help manage that. So please just at least follow up on it.
Yeah.
So you need approval on this then.
I don't know if we need.
That's what I'm asking.
We did get finance approval, there is a county resolution that's already passed.
So it's already been approved, it's already been done. I'm not sure what we have to do with it. Thank you for telling us.
Well, what finance said is we're basically
Right.
on the fact that LEJ, or.
Time is of the essence.
safety, right, the public safety be okay with it. Yep, they'll be okay.
So for the record then, I would like the motion to approve this, even though it's already been taken care of, just for the record. Richard, thank you. Looking for a second. Thank you, Gary. Any more discussion? The only discussion point I would have is please check with the state funding. This may be included into your 901 project. I would appreciate that. Or as part of the match even.
Yeah.
Because then you can put the other funding somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's options there. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
When opposed, hearing none. Aye. Item number 17, review and possible approval of road construction contract with the Highway Department for Viola and Westport Towers. Monsters.
Either of ours.
Both.
So I have just dropped this in folder, not well with packet. Sorry, I just got these bids back
Yes.
Wednesday late. Yesterday, I can't remember which one, the date.
It was Wednesday, you're right.
So we have to have roads built at Westport and at Viola. We anticipated Westport's being more challenging and costly. Viola's, however, came out to be a very long. And it was discovered in that, when we looked at it, that we're going to destroy the landowner's paved driveway to get up there. So we're gonna have to replace their paved driveway and replace the road. So in your packet, you have 3 separate bids that came from highway.
I saw, I'm refreshing it, so see the other one's
Yep,
best.
sorry. Yeah, it should, there, dropped in there. This is the one to replace their driveway, it's 34,000. And we have to make it a 3-inch thick. I met with Josh on these, has to be a 3-inch thick driveway because we're gonna be running equipment, heavy equipment up there to build roads. So it's gonna cost more to replace it, it's gotta stand up to what we're doing. Then the Viola Road build, it's a long road, I think it's 2,500 feet. And, and down, you will see the labor, this is all spelled out in the bits. For how much breaker, gravel, it's not gonna be a paved road after we get off their driveway, and that's 108,000. It's 2,700 road, 2,700 feet, and then 1,300 feet of the blacktop. That's a long road. Westport is 85,000. And if we go down to the second page. Go. It doesn't make it much bigger on yours. Westport is 2,200. It's like feet long, and that one was less. But there's no paved portion. So what we're hoping for is they can get it done quickly before even the RFPs are finished. And announce they'll start working as soon as the county board gives them permission. But we do have to get a county board resolution because we want county to do a project. There are no state or federal dollars into this, it's all borrowed money. So that makes it a little bit easier. But we do have to agree that highway would be the vendor. So what we're asking for is to approve highway to build roads at 228,529.60.
Questions from the committee? Where is this money coming from? The money, the power money that's currently in the radio project?
Yeah.
That same money,
And it was in the sheet that Mike just showed you, he had it.
right? And again, I couldn't see what the numbers were. What was the budgeted number for that originally, if you know,
There wasn't a specific, it was just part of the civil vendor.
part of the civil vendor? So does that put that civil vendor over?
No, he moved money out of the civil contingency. And but we're still, which is on. Share this. It doesn't make it over, it makes our contingency on the smaller, is what it does.
All right, is this also one of those projects that we talked about earlier? We have county resources, county tools, county equipment. Is this really a build item? Is this partially build? Do we have any clue?
That's,
It's billed. I think that you're incorrect that Josh isn't a builder.
well, no,
Everything I've ever worked with Josh is always a build item. But when they come and do maintenance on mine.
I know it's going to be billed. How the payment is going to happen, I don't, that's what I don't know. Yeah. I'm not planning on paying $17,000 out of my budget this year to build it. That's what I'm saying. Because I don't have it
For the, right.
for the right.
Talked about.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
it would seem that this is something we have to do, and this is probably the most cost-effective way to do it, as opposed to paying a private contractor, more than this and dealing with their schedule to get it done. Not having a road is not an option, so.
I would agree. Is that a motion to approve this? Does that have to go to another
Sure.
committee?
I'll make that motion.
All right. So I have a motion on the floor from Dave to approve this project and move it on to the next. Is there next committee? Does finance have to look at this next?
I don't think it has to go to finance. I think it can go directly to county board because it is a budgeted and contracted item.
Okay.
Is my understanding.
I think that I agree, right, the dollar amount, I wasn't sure if we had to go through the step.
I can double check with Derek. But I don't- If it, I'll be honest with you, if it does need to go to finance, I would request that you suggest perhaps we could do a special finance.
Okay.
Not to delay this because finance already happened. So,
Right, let's find out. I know there's a dollar limitation. I don't. So, I can check, I can check with Candace on that too. I can check. Straight on that. All right. Okay, so I have a motion. Looking for a second. Seconds? Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, go ahead and move forward with that. I will also talk to Candace about the process, the administrator about the process for that. All right, moving on to item 18, mapping radio system squad updates, pretty much at the end left on. There are squad updates. We talked about everything else. Anything you have, Sheriff?
We have both of our squads we've purchased. We're just waiting for equipment for them, and then get them on the schedule to be built. So, for the one admin vehicle, I'm just waiting on radio to arrive for it, and then that can be built. And the other one, we've got some wires we need. We've got some computer equipment that we need. But things are on the way. And so we're just waiting on all those pieces to come together.
We do have several cars that have ear damage that are waiting to get in to get repaired. And we've been waiting for several months to get in for repair.
Because parts? Or
Yeah.
Used parts aren't coming in. So if you see cars drive around that look like they've taken a beating.
Did see that the other day, yes.
Yeah,
They can't recognize one of them, yeah.
These parts weren't flapping in the wind, so.
Yeah. Just missing lights.
Yeah, no duct tape.
Yeah.
All right, questions from the committee on mapping radio system and squad updates? Questions from the committee? I don't see anything approval here, so we will simply move on then to item 19, future agenda items. Any future agenda items from the committee? Discussed some of those already.
89-7, yeah.
89.7.
I did email that out to everybody.
Excellent, thank you. Hearing no other future agenda items, moving on to item number 20, adjournment. I will need a motion for that. Richard makes the motion. For a second.
Second.
Thank you. Gary seconds. Further discussion on adjournment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.